I'd like to invite the session chair and moderator for the CXO Speak panel, Rajesh Parameswaran, Executive Director and Industrial Sector Leader at IBM Consulting. Kindly greet Rajesh as he makes his way up with a generous round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Rajesh, I'm going to hand over the floor to you so that you can invite your colleagues on the panel. Over to you.
Thank you, Ivan. Good evening, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to be here on the stage. And all of you have heard a lot about how technologies are actually changing the landscape. And the last session, which Ramit Gupta, my colleague, talked about, the real focus was on how the government is actually helping build both the physical and the digital infrastructure. And that's something that as a government, that's enablement for the economy to leapfrog into the $5 trillion in 2025 and then the $35 trillion that Ramit talked about by 2047. Now, to really understand how the industry is taking this up and what changes are happening in the industry, I have great pleasure and honor to invite my panelists on stage. Give a big round of applause to Deepal Shah, CFO, All Cargo Logistics. He's spent over 2 decades of running businesses as a CEO in India and Europe. He specialized in M&A strategic partnerships as part of the industry, and it'll be really exciting to see how he's looking at leveraging the overall infrastructure that is being built up. I have great pleasure in inviting Sanjay Joshi, who's the CIO for Parley Products. Now, he comes with 30 years of experience in the industry, and we've seen how Parley as an organization has evolved and actually gained roots into the rural areas of India as well. And we'll understand from him how he has led tech transformation at Parley. I have great pleasure in inviting Sandeep Chanda, CEO, New Desic Global Services. Sandeep actually leads operations outside North America and has more than 18 years of consulting experience and specializes in what he calls as transformative modernization. Right? Last but not the least, Sanket Devdar, a good friend, and he handles from SAP. He's responsible as a VP Sales. He's focused on the startup ecosystem and Tata Group as a focused client. So give a big round of applause to the entire panel. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for this opportunity. You heard about the great infrastructure build-up that's happening in the country and where we are poised to head. Let me first go to you, Deepal, in terms of what you're doing at All Cargo, right? You call yourself a technophile, right? And you actually believed in digital transformation in a big way. You actually set up what you call as a permanent digital transformation office, something very, very rarely heard of. Right? People talk about digital transformation as one-off initiatives and move on. So, in this kind of a rapidly evolving world, how do you see the role of CFO in enabling tech transformation as an organization?
Yeah, thank you for having me. So when I came in here, I was listening to some people. I realized that I'm a bit out of place because it's absolutely foot and mouth for me to talk about technology being a CFO. But I think what we are seeing is that at the CXO level, I think more and more, the boundaries between roles are thinning. A lot of finance people have to learn technology. A lot of technology guys have to learn other skills as well. So also another thing is that we are typically a cargo company, right? We are actually brick and mortar. And I just want to date back my conversation around 10 years back, or maybe earlier. I was addressing a B school, and somebody told me that, is an e-commerce company threat to you? I mean, the digital e-commerce. And I asked them, what did you order? So he said, I ordered shoes last. I said, who delivered them? Did you get them out of the computer? Because I said still the the technology hasn't reached that stage. The printing is still not there as yet. But having realized that later in life is that technology has touched all organizations, and I think most important is now what we heard is that all companies are actually going in the long run going to be technology companies. So rest of the services are going to be more periphery. Technology is becoming so much relevant. So at the CXO level, the job is actually to create value. And in today's age, to stay competitive, to stay ahead of the curve, you have to deploy relevant technology to stay relevant. And that's where Oro Cargo, a couple of years back, started to realize that there are a lot of platforms which are still selling businesses which we are doing, and still they are able to compete well. With us being one of the largest player in our segment, we are still brick and mortar in our approach. So ahead of time, we also started thinking about how to do this. When we started to develop technologies, we realized that these things are very dynamic and they keep changing. Back then, you had opportunities where you kind of get in an ERP and you do a technology transformation, and then you're good for 10 years. Typically, back then, you implement an ERP and you're very good for a long period, if not 10 years. Now it isn't the case. Yeah? The rate of change that is happening is so dynamic that you need to continuously evolve. The technological evolution within the organization has to continue to keep pace. And exactly for that, I coined that idea that we should have a permanent transformation office, ability to to innovate, ability to stay relevant, to adopt to new technology is what is very important, which will keep you going and which will keep you very relevant as an organization and deliver superior value as an organization to our customers. And typically, it's more customer centric. So that's how we set up the whole idea of a permanent transformation office, which will continue to focus on studying and evaluating technologies which become more relevant for our adoption, and stay possibly try to stay ahead of the curve. That's it. Yeah.
Right.
Thanks.
Right. People talked about evolving on a continuous basis, and Sanjay, you've done a lot of evolving in Parle as an organization, going from, and the entire journey, if you look at Parle as to how it has grown, especially in the last few years, has been on the back of technology. So, what are the key things that you have done from a technology perspective to help Parle grow as an organization?
First of all, when we are talking about the technology, and the success of the technology is coming with the 4 pillars. That is what my thought process is. A right solution, a right selection of the technology to solve your problem or solve your area where you feel the improvement is required. Second, your user base. Third, your internal IT team. And fourth is, of course, your partner, right selection of the partner. If anything goes wrong, then technology, whatever technology or newest of the technology we adopt, everything will go fail. Either of one will be not fully supportive, then any technology solution will go fail. That is the first thing. Considering Parle, as you rightly said, last few years we have decided, and it was a deliberate attempt to transform from legacy and homegrown system to move to the ERP. And when we decided that in 2014, and eventually we implemented SAP in 2016, after that, frankly speaking, we changed the complete gear and started taking more and more innovative projects as well as new technology initiatives also. which could help the business. And see, when it is a CPG or FMCG, more focus on to sales. But only sales cannot serve the purpose, or only technology enablement towards sales or towards sales function will not help. You have to ensure that all the functions should be taken care of with the technology enablement. Be it is finance, be it is procurement, be it is logistics, you have to consider all the functions, and then maybe the end result, your baseline will be, maybe a top line will be improved because of that. So all these resultant factor, and the COVID result is evident. Whatever we have seen the benefit of the technology enablement during the COVID time, what Parle has achieved. So purely in terms of numbers, it was a phenomenon. Another part which we have taken, it is not only the technology but the process improvement. So main focus around the supply chain. So in 2020, with the help of IBM, it was the consultation plus technology initiatives which we have taken, and in last 3 years we have got amazing result. So all this together is giving the technology curve as well as the technology benefits and the technology maybe transformation journey which we have started. I can say yes, definitely we are getting result, and that is why it is not only sake of having the new technologies in organization, but you have to understand the real benefit which your maybe end users or organization is going to get. Considering the ROI also is the major factor. Cost effective, that is the second thing which we need to consider. That is the second part. Now we are progressing toward our data analytics. When I am a CIO, all three verticals are there. Data analytics is there, application is definitely there, that is the core of the Parle right from the beginning. And of course, infrastructure and security, that is also there. So all three areas we are seeing the changes into that. Not only the single area where we are seeing the technology transformation is happening, but in all three areas. Now recently, maybe in 1 month's time, we will be going live with our own data warehouse or data lakehouse with the latest technology of Database. So all these journeys are there, and definitely it is resulting into the numbers also where we are getting the real benefit.
So Sanjay, Sanjay talked about the fact that selection of technology is very important. So Sanjay, to you, SAP has been a leading ISV as far as this market is concerned, especially in the industrial and distribution kind of space. How do you help clients bridge that gap between technology and the business results outcomes that they need? How do you help bridge that gap?
Thank you, Rajesh. It's glad that I have such a esteemed panel here. Just a correction, we also make sense for startups a lot. So I have the privilege to work with the enterprise customers and the startups today. And some of the conversations people want are engagements, startups want the engagement deployments in weeks, while the enterprise customers are looking at months and years, while that is changing now. But I think we have seen a dramatic change in terms of the pandemic changing the perspective across the world. In fact, when we were analyzing the last few years, we saw our largest successful deployments in a year during the pandemic period. Now that taught us a lot that the systems, the processes are agile. It's how do we put everything together and connect those dots, right? So from an SAP perspective, I think in the last few years, what we have been very sensitive of how do I ensure technology and business, because we are one of the largest enterprise software company. How do we make sense and bring those or enable those business outcomes? And I would say there are 4 pillars largely around it. One, since SAP, since its inception, we have been adopted by largest of customers, the Fortune 500s, the Fortune 100s. We serve 26 industries today. So the best thing that we bring on table for our customers is the industry best practices. So a templatized approach to choose what's best for finance, what's best for manufacturing, what's best for logistics, and it's all built in there. So that has enabled a lot of faster journey, time to value for our customers. Second, which is very critical, is in today's world, how do I have a modular and agile methodology of adoption? It's gone of those days of monolith that you have to implement everything and then only an ERP will work, right? It's now very modular. You can start your journey at a point A and you can decide your point B and point C. So that's there, plus enabled it through cloud. So it's much easier for customers to adopt. The third, which is very, very critical in today's world, is availability of technology and industry leading consultants. And thanks to partnerships like with IBM today, there is a pool, the largest pool of consultants from an industry who understand industry, who understand technology, are available, which is democratizing the entire usage of SAP and technology for our customers. Fourth, which is very critical and SAP has been putting a lot of effort there, is how do we bring in AI, automation in the process of migration, merger, acquisition, deployment, greenfield projects, and how do we simplify the journey for our customers. So I think these are the 4 pillars which are enabling, I would say, the business outcomes by ensuring these technology advancements are helping the business outcomes.
Fair. And you talked about cloud and migration of applications. So Sandeep, to you, but before that, I think congratulations to you on being awarded the 2023 Global Partner for Agile. That's a great achievement and acknowledgement of what you do. How do you see this whole migration to cloud, and what kind of derailing factors that you encounter when you talk to clients, and how do you help address?
Thanks, Rajesh, and first and foremost, thanks for the invite. For the audience, we are an IBM company, so it's very exciting for me to be personally being here, right? So, great space with the panelists here, fellow panelists. I'd start with some of the fundamentals, right? From a cloud adoption perspective, I think the realization is that it's mainstream already. I mean, if you really look at a few years back, if there was a cautiously optimistic approach, today, for all enterprises, it's FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. If you're not doing cloud, you're probably missing out in the race, right? Now, what that has done to the industry is create a rush in adopting cloud. And everything that is rush always has sometimes side effects or unintended consequences, right? Which is, in our world, we'd call it a little bit of a wastage. And what really is translating today is, talks like, you press the button, lit the rocket, it's out there, but you've forgotten that once the rocket is in orbit, you've got to have enough fuel left for it to navigate. So cloud adoption from that thought process is not just the ability to get to cloud, but also being able to sustain operating in cloud, the models that you have to put forward, right? And that process cannot be after the fact. You really have to look at those value propositions really early on, right? The business value proposition. And the waste that I'm talking about, what we are realizing is that today, the rush to, okay, let's go there first and then we'll realize what to do with it. Let's get your workloads into cloud and then we'll then figure what to do with these workloads, right? So that rush is not sort of helping, right? So the strategy that, and at that point it's the question about, what is my total cost? This is not something I was ready for. I was not prepared for getting hit by this amount of cost, right? So the rationalization thought process is after the fact, which needs to be really ahead of time. So what I want to get to is, I think for CIOs and CXOs, it is very important to look at the overall economic impact of adopting cloud, right? And that translates to a business value proposition, right? Why do you need cloud in the first place? It's an equal opportunity enabler for a lot of businesses. The question, I always refer to this colloquially, does an IBM need cloud? I mean, they have one, right? So truly the equal opportunity enabler is for the new age bankers who are trying to create a digital platform and then come in the competitive landscape for themselves, right? So it's very important that we pay a lot of attention to business value upfront. We pay a lot of attention to, I know Sanjay talked about ROI. We created this sustained engineering model where our focus is ROI, reliability, optimization and innovation, right? With a layer of security brought in. So I think these are very critical, important factors, and then added with the technology layer, the architecture, doing chaos experiments, figuring out the resilience of the platform that you want to build. All of that is very important. So those are pitfalls need to be addressed upfront, which you call the shift left, rather than making it an after the fact thought process.
Right, and thanks for that. Quickly, Deepal, you talked about big companies becoming tech companies and in some way evolving. What changes have you made to the business or the operating model per se in your organization to kind of get there?
Yeah, so yeah, I think business models are evolving as well. So let me our entire so first is on the mindset for an absolute cargo company, for a mindset to get digital. So before even the business model, it's the ability to think differently that comes into play. And I'm happy to say that our board and is very futuristic in terms of their mindsets. So that wasn't very difficult. So from a business model perspective, we are a very customer-centric organization. So our first approach was touching customer digitally. And fortunately, a little bit ahead of the COVID, we built what is known as an all-in app, which allows customers to do bookings, to get quotes, and many more things on the app itself. So that was the change in the organization in terms of the ability to connect to the customer, which was more offline and either through emails or through even sales also used to happen more physically. That has changed. And I would say we've been a little bit fortunate. So that's the change in the business model in terms of how you drive your customer connects. And fortunately, COVID helped us, in terms of adoption. Because what happens is that you've seen a lot of companies build applications or apps for their customers, but the adoption rate is very low, and it takes a lot of push. But from a timing perspective, we just got, I think, really lucky that we just did it just before COVID, and the adoption rate was like more than 60% at this time today. So it became very massively successful, and that's changed how our business model in terms of sales and customer reaches. So I'll keep it short because of the time.
Yeah. So Sanjay, just last one to you. In terms of keeping ahead of technology, right? What kind of practices are you bringing into the organization to ensure that you kind of continuously innovate?
See, basically the practices, especially if we have to talk, then any technology initiatives gives you the advantage of change or maybe improvement in the processes also. So that gives us the opportunity and the realization because right now we are taking the data analytics as a major journey. Recently we have started. Our whole objective is this kind of initiatives. You might not get buying unless otherwise you are providing something to the end user. Because there are hardly any chances maybe that something may be asked, like for the ERP system, many asks are coming from the end users. But in terms of data analytics kind of a thing, maybe we have to provide some ready-made solutions to them to get the buy-in from them. So all these kind of practices internally also we need to maybe establish, and we are decided to go ahead with that. In addition to that, certain cyber security initiatives also we are taking around that, because we all are hearing about cyber security. So I am not talking about only our cloud environment, but within our other manufacturing units, our own manufacturing unit, our corporate office, where the security is utmost important thing which we are following. And these are the areas where we have already started internal initiatives, and those I think see the opportunities where we should move ahead.
So, as we come to the close of this, thank you gentlemen for your time. I wish we had more time to talk about a lot more things. I'm sure each one of us want to do that. But I think the panel people are around, so if there are any things that you're curious about and want to understand in terms of what each of these leaders are doing in their space, please reach out, post this session as well. really some interesting work that they do in these organizations. So thank you so much for your time and for the energy. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.